Dan, did we ever do an episode about New Year's resolutions?
Let's see. That was a while ago. I don't know if we did or not. Or did we make a resolution not to do a show about resolutions?
Well, I'm pretty sure it was our most recent episode, Dan.
Was it?
I don't know if I don't know if you were there, but that was pretty much the whole topic
Oh,
about
yeah.
that episode was New Year's resolutions. And you know what is probably the most popular thing about New Year's resolutions? Now that I think about it, it is breaking them, Dan.
Yo,
Breaking New Year's resolutions. So,
yes.
yeah.
Yes.
I have already broken mine. If you recall, I was going to give up Facebook.
Broken. Sucked back in.
It didn't last long. It didn't even last a week. And I dabbled back into it. And then, gosh, did I get fired up over this one. I still didn't comment or anything, but this one, well, we talked our last episode, we talked about the firewood guy. And I don't know if we made that clear. This isn't just some person who sells firewood on the side. This guy who was just throwing a fit that a customer asked him to stack the wood. This guy is a professional service. He has like professional trucks with lettering and everything on them, right?
Yes. But I don't know how. I mean, allegedly he's a
Yeah.
business.
Well, he's clearly
Yeah.
not professional the way he acts,
Right.
but
He's got lettering
yeah.
on his truck. He claims that's his main business is selling firewood.
Uh-huh.
So, yeah, you
But
could put him in that
he didn't
category.
act professional.
No,
The
not
fact that he
at
gets
all.
paid by definition means you're a professional, but he wasn't acting that way. Yeah,
No.
but my resolution was to give up Facebook, and I failed miserably. And there was something that I stumbled upon Facebook, and it was the CEO of Ford Motor Company.
Oh,
His name is Jim Farley, and man, did he light me up, man. I got very upset over this. He had us, I don't know if they were interviewing him or something, but he was saying that the United States has a problem. And the problem is the Ford Motor Company has, I don't know, it's like thousands of openings nationwide for mechanics. And he was saying that the mechanic makes $120,000 a year and nobody wants to do it.
what?
And yes. Now, I don't want to get into the weeds here about dealerships and mechanics and working for flat rate and how much money are you going to make. And for a person to get into becoming a mechanic, the money involved with buying your own tools, and it takes a while to repair cars and getting experience to make $120,000 a year, generally speaking here. And that's not even what I'm talking about. What really fired me up was that he was saying that the United States has a problem, that they can't get anyone to be a mechanic for them. And I would say that the United States does have a problem, and that problem is lazy CEOs of Fortune 500 corporations. Come on.
There you go. Yes, I would agree.
Gosh, are you telling me? And I went ahead and looked this guy up. He made like $25 million last year. Are you telling me that a CEO of Ford Motor Company who makes $25 million a year, who claims to have a problem that they can't find people to work for his company, and his only solution is to complain about it?
Yeah.
Gosh. That's what I got all upset about, because to me, I am looking at it as, this is an easy problem to solve. Go hire someone. The problem is no one wants to work with what they're wanting to pay them. And again, we're getting like down into the dealership level here and stuff, but I cannot handle hearing these major corporations, like we had the Dollar Generals, like during a couple when they couldn't find anyone, or they were shutting their stores down early because they couldn't find anyone to work in their stores. And it's not the simple solution is, if you can't hire someone at $8 an hour, then raise your salaries.
Then hire someone at $10 an hour.
Hire someone at
Yeah.
$10. Well, it's an easy problem to solve, and from my experience, complaining doesn't solve problems.
No, it does not. And putting your shortcomings on the back of someone else also does not solve your problem.
Yeah. So it tells me that they don't have a problem if he's got time to complain about it, because it's easy to solve. So raise your rates. And if that still doesn't work, well, maybe you need to change the way that you hire people. Maybe quit paying flat rate. Maybe offer to buy their tools. Maybe offer, I have a feeling too that these guys and gals have to buy their own uniforms, when they get a job as a mechanic. And I'm just saying, if you can't hire someone, you got two choices. You can do something about it, or you can complain about it. And these guys just keep proving to me how lazy they are. All they do is complain. All they do is complain, Dan. Fix it. You have a problem, fix it.
They could build a car that wouldn't need a mechanic.
Well, now that would make too much sense.
That's another solution.
Yeah. Gosh, quit making cars with rubber belts that drive your oil pumps.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's one for you.
I have to say though, just with mechanics, I know a couple, and they say that like every year the complexity of what goes into these cars just keeps going up and up and up. And so yeah, you could come up with, I don't know, maybe a vehicle that doesn't have such complex things every year added to it in a way that, to be a mechanic on it, you probably need to be a rocket scientist.
Probably so.
Yeah.
It's easy to complain about cars, but when you think about it, compared to like one of my earliest cars I can remember for the family was like a 65 Ford Galaxy and a 73 Ford LTD. They didn't last quite as long and go as many miles as these modern cars do. Relatively reliable. You don't see as many cars broken down on the side of the road as you did back in the old days. But here we are. This guy has been running this corporation that has benefited from all of these tax breaks over all these years. And all he can do right now is to complain that the country has a problem. I would argue the country does not have a problem when it comes to its workforce. I don't know, Dan. I don't know of a single unemployed person out there. Do you?
No.
I don't.
No,
and I know
do not.
that's not a scientific study, but I'm just saying, looks to me everyone out there is working. And if you don't have someone working for you, then that tells me you got to raise your salary. Problem solved. Keep raising it until you hire someone, and then quit your complaining.
I've seen an increase in the workforce getting more and more creative. Like we have in our area now, I've been seeing them on social media where they will come to your driveway or your garage and do the work on your car for you, right down to like oil changes and even filling your tank with gas. So like,
wow.
You can go into their, app, and you can like say you need an oil change. They come out to your house and do the oil change instead of you having to go into the garage or the shop.
Yeah. Now, I've been a motorhead my whole life, and I worked as a mechanic professionally at a garage and even back then, so back then the majority of the cars that we were working on, this would have been in the mid 80s, early 90s. They were mostly cars from the 70s and 80s. And there were still cars that were made back then. Some were very easy to work on and some were just a train wreck. And then if you've worked there long enough, you knew when you saw what next car was in line, if it was like a starter on a Chevy Chevette, that was a real tough job. You would drag your feet on your current job, so you'd let some other guy get stuck with that one. I also remember like a water pump Chrysler made this four-cylinder, the 2.2, and when to put a water pump on it, you'd put it up on the rack, and it's like, wow, this is a 5-minute job. And then you learn that there's a casting on this water pump that goes all the way up on the front of the engine, all the way up underneath the cog for the camshaft that has to come off. So you really got to tear the whole front of the engine off, and it becomes like an all-day job. That kind of stuff has always been going on. But I would imagine, there's a lot of training and a lot of skills to be a mechanic these days. But if you feel there's a fundamental problem that you can't hire someone, well, that's your problem. So
Yep.
fix it. Yeah. That's why I think like sole proprietors, small owners and stuff, there is more creativity out there in the smaller portions of our economy than there are on the uppers. I think these guys have gotten fat over the years from these tax cuts. They're lazy. They don't innovate. They don't invest in their people. They don't invest in their communities. They just sit around and buy politicians and then try to cash in on the next tax cut. And the next thing you know, we have low wages. And then these guys complain that they can't find anyone to hire, and they don't have the drive to go make it happen.
Yep.
I think if we replace half of these guys with, your rank and file at Walmart or your cashiers, there's people that have more creativity and drive, that work the front line every day than these guys wearing the suits do. Time for me to try to get
Yeah.
off my soapbox here, but it just fires me up, quit your complaining and get it done. And that's why, Dan, you don't hear complaining in the firewood industry, except about the
Well,
weather.
I don't know. I don't know if I would
Except
go
about the
that
weather.
far.
Uh, you don't hear people complaining about stacking firewood for a customer.
Maybe all of the complaining in the firewood industry is on the consumer side, and that's why we don't hear it.
Yeah. Could you imagine, though? I mean, just like Andrew Easton or Matt Timmons, if they have staffing problems, you don't hear them getting out there and just woe is me and everything stinks and oh my gosh, everyone's like, no, they get it done, they get it fixed, and these guys have gotten to where they are because of that mentality.
Yes,
It's just like everything's different in the firewood industry.
it sure is.
It's the way capitalism used to be.
Yes,
There's a lot of companies out there. They're all competing. They're all fighting for their share, and they do it the right way by innovating, creating, making a bigger and better machine, doing it cheaper.
that was going to be my point.
That's
Is the innovation?
yes,
They all seem to be always pushing the envelope and like, what's next? What can we do? What can we make? What can we redesign to do better?
yeah. The perfect example was the vertical splitter. There were vertical
Yep.
splitters out there. Easton made one, and it really got a lot of people's attention. And then Wolf Ridge comes out with theirs, which was even better and faster and more refined. And Easton Made had a choice. He could complain about it or he could do something about it. And he responds and he puts out an even better vertical
Yep.
splitter. And the consumer is the beneficiary.
Exactly. Well,
No complaining. There was no finger pointing. He just got it done.
and you also saw other companies get into that vertical splitter game as well. I mean, there was at last year at Bunyan, there was a handful of vertical splitters from all kinds of different companies. Splitfire has
Yeah.
one. I think Allwood has one. Everybody.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. So I think part of me gets spoiled because the industry that we are in and around, is exciting. It's creative. Here we are. And, like we said before, this is the golden era of the firewood industry.
Do you think that as a firewood producer or a firewood supplier, do you think there's a lack of, no, I don't want to say a lack of creativity, but like people that just get in one way of doing things and stick with it?
Yeah, I think that is probably a good critique of like the firewood production side of the product. I think
Yes.
there's a lot of people that, try to copy what everyone else is doing. And I think the traditional recipe for doing it is pretty obvious. It's a well-worn path. So and it can bring predictable results, but then there's obviously other things out there, different ways that you can take your firewood business with, value added, small firewood, kindling, barbecue
Right.
chips. Yeah.
I've been doing a lot of like kind of thinking along that line, and I saw a little clip from a Steve Jobs interview that he way back in the day when they were first doing the coming out with the iPhone. And he said that what they did is they went all the way to the end of the consumer and they built backwards. So like what they wanted the consumer experience to be, and then they built backwards to the iPhone instead of coming up with the idea for the iPhone and going forward. So like for me, I'm always thinking now like you're sitting around a tabletop fire pit going back in the process, like how can I improve that end user's experience and make it better, as opposed to just like
Yeah.
I'm going to cut some wood, put it in a box, and ship it to your door, and that's it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty interesting to hear. And that is something you hear in firewood. It's like some of the people making deliveries or selling the wood, it's their way or the highway, that kind of a mentality.
Yes.
You'll get it when I bring it to you, and it will be what I it'll be the size that I split it.
Yep. Yeah. That's and you'll get the amount that I bring, and you'll get it when I bring it, and that's the end of the line right there. Like I don't think a lot of people look at the whole process, I guess, in reverse. Like if you were the customer, what would you want, and how would you
Yeah.
make that better?
Well, that was part of my thought process getting into this. And mine started from it was a Christmas party at a friend's house. And his house, the whole side of his house is this fireplace. Like the whole side is this brick wall. He had this giant fireplace, and then he said he never used it. And then he said it was because they had bad experiences with firewood in the past. The guy,
Yep.
leaked oil all over his driveway the one time, and the wood they got was big chunks and garbage and mud and mulch and stuff. And his wife just wouldn't ever let him do it. And that was part of the mentality that I had getting into it was, if this guy doesn't buy firewood because of XYZ, I could probably address that.
I
I
should
saw an
not do
opportunity in the
XYZ.
market.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's what I think. I don't know. I've been doing a lot of that lately, just even like down to the idea of, a box of, if you get a box of small firewood, to think of it as what happens after you take your first couple handfuls out. Like, where do you put that box? Where does it sit? Do I want the lid to like close better so that it can be stored for future use? Like all these things that sometimes are really easy to overlook with firewood.
Oh, wow.
I don't-
Dan, you're empathizing. You're putting yourself in the place of your customer.
Yes, I am.
That's an advanced skill, Dan. And then, I mean, let's think about Ford Motor Company here. Maybe if he can't find anyone, maybe he should put himself in the shoes of a mechanic,
There you go.
and
Exactly.
maybe he'll figure out why he allegedly can't find anyone to work for him.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
when you look through that different lens, you can really gain a lot of insight.
Yeah, that's interesting. That could be a good way. People are always talking about starting a business, and they're always out asking people's opinions. Maybe that should be one of the opinions is uh, be a customer and experience what a customer experiences, and
Yeah.
try to address that with your service.
Because you see it with guys that just they'll send a 18-inch round through a four-way wedge and be like, well, those big pieces, I ain't gonna split those down any smaller, that's fine, it'll all burn. But
It'll all burn.
what if you deliver that to an elderly couple who can't lift that big of a piece? Or,
Yeah,
it's like there's things to consider beyond just dumping the wood, and whatever it is, it is.
yeah. That one elderly customer who called me up, that was what happened to him. The guy dumped wood, and the majority of the pieces he couldn't even pick them up. And he said he called it that flame retardant firewood. He said it was putting his fire out. And I went over to his place, and they were just these giant chunks of green oak, just
Oh,
as ripe as could be. And I could hardly pick them up. And
yeah.
this guy, he should have his own TV show. He was just a classic grouchy old man. He was a lot of fun to be around, probably because he
Oh,
wasn't directing it at me. He was just fun to listen to complain.
I like those. I like those kind of people.
Yeah, that'll be you and me one day.
Oh, one day. I don't know. I think you're getting pretty close there.
Come on.
Making resolutions, giving them up the next week.
Uh
Yeah.
huh. Complaining about the weather.
Complaining about the weather or something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. The problem that I experience, are my log supply. I can't get logs, and I complain about that. But I think, it's like I am letting everyone know for my video where I'm at mentally and what I'm trying to address. But I don't know. It's like with my business, I am much more disciplined and motivated than I am in my personal life. Like if you saw my workbench in my garage, you would think that, a train wrecked in there. But, my wood yard is orderly. It's all organized and all. And um, I will complain about like the broken steps on the deck because I just can't get myself to go out there and fix it. But then, at the wood yard, I can't get a log supply, but I'm on it, man. That's the most important thing to me right now is trying to figure out this log supply.
That is key. That is one of the key
Uh-huh.
components in the workflow, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. I had said that too about if you were starting a business to get onto Facebook to some of your user groups, and don't matter what it is, landscaping or baking or whatever, and listen to what people complain about. Because when people are complaining on there, that means that something isn't being done. Like this guy complaining about stacking firewood. That would tell me that there's probably a market out there for delivery with stacking.
Yeah. And don't
Yeah.
just go to the groups about firewood. Like, don't go to the firewood sellers group. Go to like your neighborhood group, and see what the customers are saying, not what the suppliers are saying. Because I think
Yeah.
that's another, insight and perspective to look at. Like you mentioned, if you see a guy complaining about people that want it stacked, well, okay, that's an
Yeah.
opportunity. And you could also go to the neighborhood group and probably see plenty of people complaining about just the firewood that was delivered.
Uh-huh. Well, and that's what we had talked about in the last episode, but you know, there's opportunity there, but at the same time too, the guy's bringing everyone down around him.
Oh,
He's just making the industry look bad. Gosh.
I can't imagine. Like, you know, I don't know. I just don't. I don't ever see a possible way I could put myself in that position to do. like he's standing in the customer's yard, filming a video, complaining about that customer.
Yeah. And he was proud of it.
Oh yeah. Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
It's
bragging, like,
weird.
look what I'm doing here.
Oh
Uh,
boy. I think
well,
for next year though, Dan, when we get to next year's New Year's, I'm going to make a resolution that I don't make them anymore because I'm just going to break it.
that's one reason to make them. You know,
Yeah.
but I'm
I guess
glad to hear you're back
I'm
on
the
social media.
yeah, I'm the bad boy of resolutions.
Yes.
I make them just to break them.
Oh man, listen to
Yeah.
you.
Hmm. Yeah, but that this Ford Motor Company thing, man, that just fired me up. I get so annoyed at these people. Gosh, I got to get off Facebook. Gee whiz. I'm gonna resolve that I'm done with Facebook, Dan.
Oh, okay. We're going. We'll check back in next week. Let's see if let's start with some small baby steps. Let's go just a couple days. And we'll check back in next week.
Yeah. Okay. I think I want to go stack some wood for a customer.
Oh, yeah. I was gonna say. I think you need to get out in the wood yard or something.
Yeah. All right, Dan. Well, what do you say we strike up the band?
Strike up the band. Thanks everyone for tuning in to the Wood Hounds, the #1 firewood podcast in the world. We'll see you back here next week.
Yeah, and if you could please give us a review and a 5-star rating on your streaming service of choice. And having said that, let's tell everyone out there, Dan, to break
your resolutions.
And go ahead and log into
Facebook. Social media. Your favorite social media platform.
Because that will help you have
a great day.